one project. Myself, Lalit Gandhi, and I'm an Agile coach having experience of 13 years. So we'll come together, we'll go through what are the various frameworks available in the market, how we can app for any of the available framework, how the framework work for us, and how we can tailor the framework as per our needs. Okay, let's go through what are the current scenarios, which frameworks are majorly used in the industries. So as you can see on the screen, this is clearly visible from the version 1.12 report that clear winner is Scrum with the 56% of usage and adoption across the market, followed by the hybrid approaches and then the Scrum ban. So we can say Scrum is majorly being used across all the industries which are moving towards agile methodologies. Okay, let's see which industries are using it. This again has been report pulled up from version 1 report, which states that organizations which are using Agile, out of those 24% are from technology, followed by financial services, where 17% of the usage is from seen from them, followed by professional services and insurance domain. So, in a nutshell, we can say for going agile, Scrum framework has been adopted in majorly in technology and financial services. So we have to look for a framework using which we can scale our teams where multiple teams need to work together. So let's talk about why do we need a scaling framework? So there can be a multiple answer. One of them could be we have multiple teams working together building one single product. You all would be thinking that is the only reason. But no, that is not the only reason. So we need the framework which can support multiple teams. Yes. Next is what else we want. Now, it's much harder to manage a project which has multiple teams working towards it. If we compare it the same with the smaller projects where small Scrum teams can deliver from end to end. So now when we have multiple teams working for the same project delivery, it's very difficult to identify the dependencies and to coordinate the dependencies between one team to another team because it can be a scenario where multiple teams are working together building one single module which needs to be integrated and send it out for as a release. Much harder to prioritize the backlog items. So if we have multiple teams, there can be hundred of items sitting in the backlog. So we need to prioritize which team would be working upon which particular module or which user story and which what would be the priority of each of them. So it's much harder. It's harder to maintain item estimation. It can be possible that team A can deliver the same piece of user story, let's suppose with two story points, and team B can deliver the same with five story points. So we need to keep all these themes tracked and we need to take a wise decision which team needs to work on what and what estimates each and every team can give. We can't ask a team A or any team to work upon every work item which is sitting in the backlog. So with that, let's move ahead and discuss what are the various scaling issues when we have multiple teams working on one single product. So we have to manage dependency across teams, as we already discussed about that. Aligning work across teams. So when we have multiple teams, so we need to distribute work as per the skill set of multiple teams which we have. Coordination of the work across the teams. We need to coordinate how we would be integrating the piece of work, how we would be taking care of the dependencies which one team has on another. We still need to see, like, while scaling up, are we still maintaining agility? Are we still adhering to the principles of agile? So, for answering all these, so we have multiple framework available in the market with less Scrum of Scrum, Safe, DAD, and Nexus. And if you can see on the right end of the screen, this is the adoption of multiple scaling framework available in the market. With the 29% of the adoption for the Safe stands a clear-cut winner, followed by Scrum of Scrum with 19%, followed by internally created method as 10%, followed by multiple other frameworks. Does that mean Safe will fit each and every organization? Answer is no. Will Scrum of Scrum help other organization going ahead for scaling? Answer is no. So we need to look at each and every framework available in the market and take a wise decision which framework can work for us in a best suitable way. And it might be possible that we might take a framework, tailor it as per our need, and then we can adopt the same. Let's explore this frameworks, what they are and what they suggest. Let's talk about LIST framework. In 2005, Craig Larman and Bess Fode formed this LIST framework. So as in 2001, Agile Manifesto was written, it was clearly that this can help one Scrum team to get deliveries out of their box. How multiple teams can work together, this was again a question. So in 2005, Craig Larman and Bess Watt come up with the LIST framework. So this is what LIST framework look likes. It has set of teams working together for one product delivery. What LIST says? LIST says that we need to have one common product backlog for entire set of teams that we have. We need to do common sprint planning. LIST has two sprint planning. It also talk about retrospective. We need to do one common retrospective across all the teams that we have working upon one common delivery. And within our piece of work, we need to groom our backlog as well as we do in Scrum. So LESS framework revolve across the basic fundamentals of Scrum. It is very much familiar or similar to what Scrum says. Let's get into some more details. So LESS prescribes two frameworks within LESS. LESS, which can support up to 8 teams, having 8 team members each, then LESS huge. If we have teams more than 8, then we should go for less huge framework. Okay, how to adapt these frameworks? Whenever you have a set of teams, let's say you have 10 teams, then also it is prescribed not to start with less huge. Start with less and going further you can go for less huge. Okay, let's look at the which all organizations have adopted less framework. As you can see on the screen, these are set of the industries which have implemented less successfully. Out of those, Ericsson, Bank of America, RBS, and B&W are the topmost organizations. Let's go back and see what less framework has. So this is the basic difference between less and less huge. Less huge, we have bifurcated the whole product into multiple areas. And for each and every area, we have a dedicated PO called as APO, Area Product Owner. Again, we have set of teams working in coordination for each area path. Okay, let's talk about what less emphasizes on. Like less is a scaled version of Scrum. So it says we need to have one common product backlog as it's for one common product, not for any team. One common definition of done. Again, all team members across all the teams sit together and define this definition of done. It says we have one potential shippable component which should be delivered at end of each and every sprint. There should be one common product owner as this is one product, one common sprint, And it also says that unless all teams are in common sprint to deliver one common shippable product in every sprint. This is what let's emphasize on a broader level how it's different from normal Scrum. In this, we have two sprint planning part 1 and part 2. In part 1, each teams go to the product owner and decides which particular feature would be worked upon by any team. Once they decide that, they go back to their teams and bifurcate the feature into multiple user story and groom the same with their individual teams. So this is what sprint planning 1 and sprint planning 2 is. Let's talk about daily Scrum. Daily Scrum is similar to what we have in Scrum with one difference. We are open for other participants like any one spokesperson from team A or team B can be a part of daily Scrum for our team, by which they can see what is happening in our team. It opens the gates for transparency. They will know what is happening in our team and what is our action plans. Let's talk about the next point, coordination. So there is no set of guidelines which has been laid down by list framework. It is open. You can have the coordination as you think would be best suited for your team. It has an overall PBR, product backlog grooming session, where all teams come together, have one product owner, and discuss about what user stories they have, what requirements it's are, what is required from the PO if anything is pending. Let's talk about next product backlog refinement. So let's talk about we teams can have the PBI sessions individual to their teams as well. In case team wants to have a detailed discussion with the PO, they can set up a meeting, call the PO and discuss the requirements in detail as and when required. Sprint review. So let's say we need to have one common sprint review because this is one product. So in this sprint review, each and every team members can set up the product demonstration for the others to view. And what other way is we can have a common forum where whatever has been delivered by team A, B, C, and D, they will showcase one by one to the entire population. Then let's talk about overall retrospective. So we need to have a retrospective for time box 45 minutes in which all team members would be called and we'll discuss about how our last iteration went, what were the challenges, how was the coordination, was the dependencies taken care of or not, was risk was discussed about or not. So we will go through each and every team and individual so that no one is getting missed. Let's go ahead and talk about list principles. So if you can see on the screen, list principles are more or less same to the Scrum framework. It's also talk about transparency, one whole product, customer centric, continuous improvement. It has lean thinking added to their principles. It also talk about system thinking. Again, it's an empirical process where we keep up building and our product will envision as it goes. So this is what let's talk about. The next framework which is available in the industry is Scrum of Scrum. This is the oldest scaling framework available in the market, which was formed by Jeff Sutherland and Ken Schwaber in 2001. So Scrum of Scrums talk about one of like key skills what is available in Scrum of Scrum. One various agile scaling framework in currently used. This is the majorly used framework across the industry. If you can see Scrum of Scrum, do have been used in Kanban. It's also been used in less. It's also been used in safe. This is a technique where a representative from each team come together into a meeting where they discuss about what the challenges and issues each individual team do have. So it allows a channel to be opened up where team A and team B can discuss about with their challenges, about the challenges, dependencies, risk. So this is how it looks like. Like if we have Scrum Team A, Scrum Team B, and Scrum Team C. So our chosen spokesperson will come to a Scrum of Scrum meeting, will discuss about what my team is doing, what are the issues, what are the roadblocks or impediments, and how we would be moving ahead with those. So it is like a Scrum call only, whereas in Scrum call we have entire team. In Scrum of Scrum we would be having spokes from each and every team. I believe this is the basic fundamental scaling framework which is available in the market. Whereas we just need to open a challenge of channel of communication because what has been seen, team A, team B, team C are working on the different features for the same product, but they are not communicating. So we have to open up a channels where these teams can come together and no longer work on in silos. Okay, with that, let's move ahead and see what is there in Scrum of Scrum. So the coordination of various teams is done using Scrum of Scrum teaming, as we discussed. So we can have it daily, twice a week, but minimum we need to have it once a week. The dedicated team member, like a single a spokesperson appointed by any team, will be representing their team. The Scrum of Scrum meeting is very similar to daily Scrum. At the Scrum meeting, each ambassador will be talking about what has team been accomplished, what problems are there, what does your team want to accomplish, what outputs of your team for the future sprints, does your team see any interface or problems. So we'll discuss about any challenges, any dependencies, any risk in that particular meeting. To keep the track for all of this, it is important that Scrum of Scrum have a product backlog. So as we have the product backlog for our teams, team backlog, similar front we have the Scrum of Scrum backlog as well. The action items are written and are being discussed on upcoming next Scrum of Scrum. So what is the duration or frequency of this Scrum of Scrum meeting? So it needs to be discussed by the leads that how soon do we need to have this Scrum of Scrum calls? Do we need to come together on daily basis, bi-weekly basis, or weekly basis? But it is prescribed that we need to meet on weekly basis, at least once a week. We need to have a Scrum of Scrum calls. So this is all what we have in Scrum of Scrum. Let's talk about next framework that we have, which is SAFe. So this is the most popular framework available in the industry for scaling up the Scrum teams. This is formed in 2011 by Dean Leffingwell. So this framework has evolved a lot. Like as you can see on the screen, in 2001, its first version was released, and now in 2019 we have 4.6 been rolled out. Let's take a deep dive in safe framework. So art or the agile release train, this is a heart of safe. So what comprises of art? So all the teams are comprises of this art. So all team members when come together, dev team come together, they form a one art train. We'll talk about agile release chain as we go further. But agile release chain can comprise of 50 to 125 team members, which are cross-functional. It also come up with the new roles like RTE, release train engineer, and the system architects. It runs for one PI and has a cadence. Like we have product increment, which this is a new term which has been brought up by the SAFe, where we plan for upcoming 5 iterations as one PI, and we plan what needs to be delivered in one PI and next PI. So this is product increment. Again, but the shippable piece of component is again ready to be shipped by end of every iteration. But do plan for 5 iterations ahead in a PI cycle. So what all configurations do we have in SAFe? These are 4 various configurations which are available under SAFe, like Essential SAFe, Large Solution SAFe, Portfolio SAFe, and Full SAFe. Like we have less and less huge. In less, in SAFe we have 4 different frameworks available. This is how Essential SAFe look like. Let's look at Large Solution SAFe. In Large Solution SAFe, you can have multiple agile release trains. Like if you have more than 125 people, you need to have multiple agile release chain for large solutions. So in large solution, you would be having multiple arts, and for each and every art, you have different release train engineer. So for bringing the coordination in place, you have a STE, solution train engineer. This is the next framework available under SAFe, which is Portfolio SAFe. Here in Portfolio SAFe, we have again one art, but we have brought a leadership into picture with the strategic themes, lean budgets, and all. Next framework available is Full SAFe, where we can have multiple art with a portfolio embedded. So this Full SAFe is being adopted by very few, I would say, organizations, and like the organization needs to be really huge and open towards adopting scaling framework. The best example that I can give is NASA. NASA has implemented Full SAFe. Okay, let me tell you some more details under SAFe. So let's take an example of Essential SAFe. Like if you can see at the bottom layer, within the team, still they would be using Scrum for daily working routines. Again, they would be using Scrum, and they have one product owner, one Scrum master, and a dev teams. So what is happening in the PI planning? In PI planning, all the teams, let's suppose we have 5 teams. So all 5 teams would be invited in one meeting, one face-to-face meeting, where all 5 teams, all product owners, all Scrum masters, all program managers, system architects will come together and discuss about what we are going to deliver in next PI, next set of 5 iterations. We'll discuss about what is the requirement. After understanding the requirement, team will work upon creating user stories. They will talk about what dependencies they do have within multiple teams, what are the risks and challenges are, and they would be roamed about with risk, what risks are and how we can resolve those. There's a separate exercise called as roaming with risk that we do within the PI planning. So in PI planning, we do have 5 iterations, out of which in 4 iterations we would be working upon the work which we have taken in. The last iteration has been kept for IP, innovation and planning, within which team would be doing innovation. So open space has been kept where teams can innovate. and plan for the upcoming iterations as well. So we would be doing PI planning within that tenure only. So, and in the second layer, if you can see, we have RTE, which is a Chief Scrum Master that we have in, like, we have Scrum Master within teams. So we have product management group or project management person. He would be chief product owner or our lead product owner. And as we have dev teams, here in this layer we have system architect or system engineer. These group of people working will work together in grooming the work for next upcoming PI. When the team is working in current PI, these people will groom the work for the next PI. They would be communicating with the business owners or the end clients that we have and drafting the requirements. So this is how SAFE works. Again, if we want to compare less and SAFE, here we don't have a common retrospective. We again have a retrospective of individual teams. Here we don't have one PO. We have multiple POs for across all the teams. So there are multiple differences when you go and compare less and safe. So this is what at a high level safe is. So let's talk about what PI planning is. Like as I stated, all stakeholders face to face. This is a mandate. Management sets a mission with minimum possible constraints. Requirements and design emerge. So within those 2 days of PI planning, all the requirements would be discussed, all the challenges would be discussed, team would be creating user stories within those 2 days, and if there are some missing piece of requirements, it would be brought into the picture to the PO and chief PO. Within those 2 days, they would be resolved. Everything would be set to go. All stakeholders would be available as a part of that program meeting. Like if some UI or UX design needs to be finalized, any wireframe needs to be built up or been finalized, it would be done in that tenure only. So that team doesn't have any dependencies when they start working on the PI and the PI cycle. So if you can see at the bottom of the screen, this image shows how PI planning runs. So this is also got a big room planning sessions. Next thing is which we can talk about is hybrid scaling model. So none of the frameworks are being adopted by the industries as it is. They need to be tailored as per our organization's needs. Then they are called as hybrid model. So what is required from your side to create a hybrid model? Being a scrum master, you need to know your team. We need to know dynamics of your team, how your team behaves, how they work. You know what are the strength of your team. You know what are the weaknesses for your teams are. So you know what are the effective ways by which you can increase collaboration and communication within the teams, because that are the two major things which is required when we go for any scaling framework: collaboration and communication. We need to improvise on those two things. Again, medium of effective communication. So how to get started? Start with Scrum. If you want to go and scale up your teams, before that, ask your teams to do the Scrum first. Once they are good and well versed in adapting to a Scrum framework, after a good amount of time, then we can think about scaling up. Try with Scrum of Scrum, because this is a framework which has very few requirements in it, and which up which also open up the channel for collaboration and communication. Try if that works for you. Still, in case you want another framework, do the detailed analysis of available frameworks in the market, opt for the suitable framework, and adjust the same as per your organization needs. It's also important that you need to inspect the framework that you have opted for, and you need to tailor it, change it as per your need at the regular intervals. So it's very important. You can need to check it what is working well and what is not working well. Like as we conduct retrospective with our teams, so Scrum Masters, Agile Coach, or Chief Scrum Masters, you need to check how their framework is working. What changes does it require so that it would be helpful for their teams? So to conclude, what we have discussed so far is many cases it has been seen no framework or scaling framework is best, which can cover everything. So there is no such framework. It will keep on evolving. Like it will keep on emerging. New frameworks will come on daily basis or on regular intervals. Scaling best with regular introspection. So we need to retrospect our framework. Like as per the current trends, SAFe is leading scaling framework. But yes, you can't say any one framework is best. Like if you can see, when SAFe started, they started with framework 1.0 and currently they are running 4.6 version. There are multiple changes that have been brought up in between. Like we have Nexus, we have DAD, which is hybrid of all the frameworks, which has SAFe in this extreme practices embedded. They have one Scrum, Lean, we have again from scrum.org we have Nexus. Like again we do have less in SOS as well. So you need to keep an eye which framework is working best, which can be best for your organization, and adapt that, taking any framework as a base, and you can tailor the same framework as per your requirements. So that's all I want to have in this particular session, discussing about various techniques which you can opt for while scaling up your Scrum teams. Thank you for watching. Thank you, everyone.